Hello and welcome to Mountain Patriot Homestead. We are in the kitchen. I've got my apron on, so let's get cooking. Today's recipe is called Lunch Lady Brownies or Lunchroom Brownies. Now, I don't know how long it has been since you have been in school. For me, it has been more decades than I care to recall, but some of those things that we had in the lunchroom, let me just back up. When I was in school, I didn't eat a lot from the lunchroom. Now, it wasn't because that the food was bad, but it was because we were a little pinched on finances, and so I took my lunch for a majority of the time, which didn't bother me much because I really liked what I brought for my lunch. Now, sometimes I get made fun of because it may be a piece of tomato on a biscuit, but I liked it, and that's all that mattered. But there were times that there were things in the lunchroom that were popular, and I kind of wanted it when the other kids did. And sometimes I did get to eat in the lunchroom, which was okay. But there were certain things that everybody liked from the lunchroom. The pizza. Now, you can't compare it to these big pizza places and things now that make the pizzas to your order and all of that. You can't compare it. You can't compare the hamburgers. Well, maybe you can, because the hamburgers at fast food places to me aren't as good as the ones that we had at school. But the chicken fried steaks, nothing fancy, but we thought it was the cat's meow. We enjoyed the chicken fried steak day. As far as desserts were concerned, there were some desserts. I liked their peanut butter cookies. I enjoyed there was a applesauce cake, and I'm gonna have to look at that recipe because it's been a long time since I've had it, but it was like an applesauce cake, and that was really moist, and I liked it. But the lunchroom brownies, really liked those. They weren't the big thick cakey brownies. They were thin. They had a thin glaze of chocolate on top, and that is what we're going to be making today. And I have a little bit of inside information on how things worked in lunchrooms because my mama was one of those lunchroom ladies. Now, she wasn't while I was going to school. After I graduated, she went to work for the school because, had school benefits. So she was able to get insurance and that sort of thing. So that was a job she took later in life, and loved it because my mama loved kids, and she was able to be around the kids, and they were all hers. It did not matter race, sex, or creed. It did not matter to her. She loved all of them. They were all her kids. She would correct them. She would baby them, and just, they were hers. And so she took it to heart how she prepared things for those kids, just like if she had been preparing it for us. And I know that in those lunchrooms, things had to be prepared quickly and using what they had. Sometimes these little small schools, which I don't know if it's still the same today, but I know back then, sometimes it was really difficult for them to get what they needed. And not counting what they wanted, but just what they needed, sometimes it was difficult. And so the complaints about the lunchroom, well, those ladies were doing the best with what they had. And these brownies are quick to put together. Of course, we're not making the massive amounts like they would have done in the lunchroom. We're just going to make a small batch, but I promise you, they're going to be delicious, they're going to be quick, and I think you're going to find that maybe they bring back some memories from earlier days. So let's get cooking. So to show you how I've started out, while my oven is preheating to 350 Fahrenheit, I have taken, about a 9 by 9 inch pan here, and I've greased it, put parchment paper in it, and greased it again because I don't want these brownies sticking. And you do however works best for you. If you have a other dish that you would rather use, just remember that the larger the dish, the thinner the brownies. So let's get on with putting that recipe together. It's going to be amazing how quickly this recipe comes together because in the lunchroom, they don't have time to play. So it begins with 1 cup of granulated sugar. And to that, I'm adding 1/2 cup or 1 stick of melted butter. Before the other ingredients get added, the sugar and butter are going to be beaten together for a few minutes until this mixture gets lighter in color. Our next 2 ingredients are 2 eggs and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. The final 2 ingredients, 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder and 1 cup of all-purpose white flour. Now, did you notice anything special about this recipe that you don't see, or that you do see maybe, in most of your homemade brownies? Did you notice the absence of any type of baking powder in this, or salt, or any of that sort of thing? Yes, there was none of that in this recipe, because it is more of the flat type of brownies, like these school brownies were, and I guess are, because I don't know, I have not eaten at a school for many years, because even my kids have been out of school for a long time. So no, I don't know what they still serve, but the brownies that we used to have at school were flat, and pretty much that's the way these brownies are going to be. They're not going to be the great big cake brownies. But let's get these in the oven. They're going to go in at 350 for 20 to 25 minutes until they're done in the center. While the brownies are baking, we're going to start on the frosting, because it'll actually go on the brownies while they are warm, unlike most recipes that tell you you've got to cool things down first. So we're starting out with 2 tablespoons of butter. And to that, we've added 3 tablespoons of just whole milk. Two tablespoons of cocoa powder. And the final ingredient is going to be about 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. And I'm just going to beat this all together. Now you can use your mixer if you want to, but yeah, that's just a little batch, and I'm just going to whip this all together. Now, I don't think I said it before when I put this butter in here. The butter should actually be softened, so it does mix up really easy. You see, that's pretty much, that's it. That's your frosting. And you don't want it real hard, and you don't want it too runny. But just as in with Goldilocks, that looks like that is just right. So now we just gotta wait on those brownies to come out of the oven. Alright, I've taken this out of the oven, and I'm going to let it cool for just a few minutes. I don't want it completely cooled, because this frosting has to go on it while it's still warm. But right now, this dish is still screaming hot, so I'm not going to touch it, and I'm going to let this brownie just cool off just a minute, and then we'll put the frosting on it. So I'll let it cool off for just a little bit, mainly so I wouldn't burn the poo out of myself by touching that hot pan. So I am just bringing this frosting right out of here. As you can see, I don't have it real thick. If you want it a little thicker, you can definitely do so, but I just basically want a glaze on there, and I am going to let this cool right here in the pan, and then later, when it totally cools off, we will cut it and try it. So you've got to wait along with me. I have waited as long as I can. If any of you have seen more than one of my videos, you know that patience is not my virtue. So this is not completely cool, I guess, but it's as cool as it's gonna get for now, because I've got to try one. I want to see how they turned out. Do you ever wonder if things are as good as they were, or if you remember them better than maybe they were? Okay, I have cut those into 9 pieces. Okay, you see that is still, the frosting is still running off that middle one. That middle is still pretty warm, but you know what? I'm still going to try it. So that's going to run down in there. It's not going to be the prettiest in the world, but I'm not serving this to company. There's nobody here but me, and I'm gonna enjoy me one. So I'm gonna dig it out. And what part is your favorite? Do you like the middle part, or you like me? And do you kind of like one of these on the edge where it's got more crust? Oh my gosh, look at that. Look how moist that looks, how delicious. And they're thin like I remember them and looks so chocolatey. Okay, I'm fixing to get all off into this. Y'all hold on. I am trying to give you a really close-up view there. Can you see that? Just look how delicious that looks. Let's say if I would have let it set and completely cool, this would not have still been warm enough to where it was running off of it. But you know what? I don't care. I like a warm brownie. Do you ever like pop one? And I know people pop things in the microwave, but I don't own a microwave anymore. So I'm eating mine out of the oven. So I'm gonna taste this and see if I can relive a little bit of my childhood. Wow. Pardon the dancing, if that's even what you can call it, but that is so fudgy. I can tell I'm getting old. Sorry, I got hair floating in my eye. I can tell I'm getting old because these are so much better than I remember. So my memory must truly be going. But this is so good. Only thing make this better is either a huge cup of ice cold milk or a big old tankard of hot coffee. But either way, wow, that is, and I'm not exaggerating, because I'll tell you, if something don't taste good, I mean, there's been some of my videos that I'll tell you, not my favorite, but this is really good. Okay, this makes me want to try some other lunchroom things like pizza, and I don't know if I can make the hamburgers like they did, but we'll have to look up some more lunchroom menus because I don't remember our I remember them being good. I don't remember our lunchroom brownies being this good, but maybe because they just had to make them in huge batches. But yeah. And I'm not even a huge brownie fan. I don't eat a lot of brownies. I could hurt myself with these. This is like really good because it tastes like you're eating fudge. So try it. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about it if you give it a try. And if you make these already, do you do anything any different? Do you remember these from school? And what was your favorite school meal or dish? Anyway, I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to finish my brownie. I'm going to put up the rest of those for my own safety. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I love y'all. Talk to you again soon. Mountain Patriot Homestead, signing out.